Frankie here. Today I am joined with Hijack representing 808 Breakers to talk about experiences and perspectives on breaking. You've had a very busy year. Can you just kind of start by sharing what's it been like training and battling in these last few months?
Man, it's been crazy. It's really just been non-stop with practice, non-stop with eating habits, stretching habits, especially now that I'm going to be rocking with Redbull as an ambassador. It's just been non-stop go, and it's so cool to be able to go to these competitions and not have to worry about a lot of the key things, like back before being picked up by Redbull, it was like, I need to save money, I need to make sure I have enough to go out to these things, but now that that's taken care of and I have the support that I need, it's the time. There is nothing holding me back now.
Okay.
To going for it.
So in terms of timing, was there just a certain time maybe in 2021 where I'm going hard, I'm training?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've always been training. One of the major key things was just money.
Okay.
And going out, and I was just in between working part-time at a cafe, being a barista, and teaching back home the local kids and building a strong community back there with my team, balancing between that and just training hard, and got this opportunity, got an invite to represent at the LA Redbull, didn't make it past the first round, and got invited to United Styles, which had a Redbull Boston Cypher the day before, and just, I think that tension from not making it and feeling like I felt like I needed to let it all out, and Boston, I think that was it. I realized that I need to go all in.
And you did. We all saw it.
Went after it, and a lot of times, for dancers, we think like, oh, I gotta save my rounds, but that one was just, no rounds were saved. The music was great. Timing was just perfect. Everything was lined up perfect. Music, my energy felt great, and got flown out to the nationals. Mm-hmm. And even then, even more of a sign to realize like, okay, if that approach helped me with Boston, that same approach will help me here in Florida, and really was a blessing to be out there and representing. So
that's dope.
Yeah.
So we had Boston, we had the national, and then even after that, this past few months, you've been representing.
Yes, sir.
Any lessons learned since those ciphers?
I would definitely say if you can, arrive to a jam a day early. Get good sleep. We think we can be out and party, and most of the times some people can, but I'm learning more about myself now that I'm pursuing it much more on a professional level, and I'm learning that rest is key. Flowmaster taught me that. He gave me great advice that rest, nutrition, and recovery is key to any great performance. I mean, now that we're getting older too, right? Breaking is not just the young man's game.
Could you spend a little bit of time just talking about what got you started? Who taught you breaking?
My earliest memory of dance was probably when I was in the 3rd grade. I remember one day my brother came home. He learned how to pop from these homeless guys at the park. So crazy. Till this day, I have not met some of the guys that he described as the Jam. Was one of the guys, I guess his name was Hines. He was a popper who used to hang out at the park. It was, in Hawaii, we consider them like the local uncles,
okay,
like the older guys who just be hanging out at the park and drinking 40s and stuff. And
what year was this, in 3rd grade?
Yeah, in 3rd grade, I was, let's see, I'm 27 now. I want to say it was probably like early 2000s, maybe like 99,
okay,
early 2000s. And he came home with a CD called Street Jams, and it was a mega mix of all these old school poppin' songs like Shannon, Let the Music Play, all these old school tunes like Don't Stop the Rock, Planet Rock, and stuff. And it was the first time I've ever heard music like that. And to see my older brother, someone who I've always looked up to, doing popping and showing me all of these different movements, I was just so fascinated. Practiced, and we always had my dad had VHSs of Michael Jackson. Used to watch and rewind him doing the moonwalk and the Cloud9, all the glides and stuff, and been inspired all the way up until 8th grade. That's when I met B-boys. I met some B-boys at a park from a mutual friend, and this was at the top of an arcade.
Okay.
So the arcade had a parking lot on the top floor, and we met these guys, and they were doing crazy things, like I've never seen anything like it. They were doing jump back pikes. They were doing lotus drops. They jump up in the air, lock their legs in a lotus, and fall on their butt like a suicide move. You know, we're battling these guys. We didn't even break. We were popping and they were breaking, and it was just such a amazing exchange to see this in person. Because other than that, it would just be breaking a movie, right? Breaking or Wild Style or Beat Street, and we'd see it online or on VHS, and to see it in person was amazing.
Okay.
And build a connection and a relationship with these guys. JFF crew was their name, Just for Fun crew. They were a year older than us, and they were my first teachers, I would say. JFF, Daniel and Sean and Damon and all of these guys taught our crew. We were known as Illmatic. We named ourselves Illmatic off of Nas's album Illmatic, because we would listen to that, and been running it since late 2008, early 2009. That's when I started breaking, and all the way up until this day, I've just been enjoying.
Yeah, so from 3rd grade to 8th grade, that's a pretty healthy amount of popping.
Just
you know?
popping, yeah.
Just getting the foundation of music.
I remember like going to Tower Records and looking for like Zapp and Rogers or like Shannon and all these different music artists that my brother would, you know, show me in the back of the street jam stuff, right? And we'd always do our research and save up and buy music. And I think that's one of the key things that has not changed and won't change for the rest of my life, is the search for music. That plays a huge role in the evolution of my dance, I would say. Music.
Okay. Just for Fun crew, what happens after that?
So after Just for Fun crew, we've continued to battle locally.
Okay.
We weren't too good. We were, more than anything, we were a group of friends, 13 deep. Just a group of friends who hung out, went to the beach. We had great support from one of our friends' parents. They would rent out the rec room, always cook us food and stuff, and just really cater to that passion, you know, of us dancing together and playing music. And once again, you know, we weren't good at it. We've never made it past prelims for the longest time, and we kind of just got used to it. But it wasn't winning that was our drive. It was a love for the dance. It was a love of seeing somebody or yourself progress forward and being stoked for them or stoked for yourself that really pushed us. So what made it so strong today is that it's not about winning. It's about myself and growing myself and seeing the progression in not only myself but my students and my friends around me, and the constant elevation. And it's just been one hell of a ride.
Was there maybe like a turning point? You're saying you guys weren't making it past prelims. You're still going strong. Was there like a turning point in terms of competition that you guys saw?
Yeah, so we kept competing, didn't make it, and I think there was a time that we were growing up in our crew, JFF crew, so we got put down to JFF crew, and then Illmatic ceased to exist after that.
Sure.
And we were rocking with them, and they got older to a point where they felt like they didn't really want to break too much. And for me, I was so hungry for it. Me and a few others were so hungry for it. We kept searching, and that's when I met the 808 Breakers. That's when I met Jeff, Layton, who goes by Pogo. I met Red, B-Boy Red, who goes by Jared, and built with them. They put me down. I was freelancing for a while, just figuring out in our local community the scenes, and B-Rock crew also had a big play for me as well. They really showed me some stuff, you know, but ended up rocking with 808 Breakers. And then from there, we flew out. The amazing thing as a crew is what we did was, as 808 Breakers, we went around and we performed 100+ performances around, doing things like birthdays, festivals, and all the money that we received, we saved up, and we flew all of ourselves out to Freestyle Session, which was held in LA the same year that Skillbrat Renegades won. Battled Skillbrat Renegades in top 8. And we got 1 vote from Mr. Freeze. And I think that moment of, you know, we were familiar with who Kid David was, who Casper was, Luigi. These guys were amazing, you know, and we grew up seeing these guys too in videos. And to compete against them and have that nervousness, you know, I was shaking. Like at the moment they announced 808 Breakers, we got 808 Breakers going up against Skillbrat Renegades, we were just like, oh my God, you know, this is nerve-wracking. We're probably going to lose, but it was amazing to go up against these guys, the people that we looked up to, and see, not to mention, they were slipping up a little bit, But it was cool because it gave me an understanding that everybody is human and it doesn't matter. It could be anyone's game. Once you've competed against someone who is at a high level, or maybe someone that you've looked up to, that starts to deteriorate your nervousness of competing against anybody else because you've already competed against the top. And
gives you strength
and confidence that if someone voted for you, despite these guys being amazing at what they do, that gave me hope. Like, wow, we can do this. And maybe it's 1 vote now, but maybe it might be 2 votes next time or 3 votes next time. And that was a strong drive to in a direction that we're like, okay, we can do this, and we're on the right track. That was a big turning point. Battling Skillz Renegades. Yeah, it was at the Club Nokia. Amazing venue, amazing vibe. My second time being out for breaking, and that was so cool.
I definitely remember the footage from that. Whew, that jam was
amazing, man. It was a lot of hard hitters.
Okay.
I think Lions of Zion was out there. Who else?
Top 9.
Top 9 was in the finals, right? Crazy crews.
When you got down with 808, those boys that brought you in, how old were you?
13. I was 13 at the time.
Okay.
And those guys were 14, 15. They were a little bit older than us.
We have freestyle session. What happens after that? Let's fill in the gap from there up to the present.
Freestyle session after that came back to Hawaii, like really elevated.
Okay.
I think when you travel, you elevate, you grow, not only as a human being, but you grow in a skill set because you realize that you are still a small fish, even though you come back home to a small pond, a big fish in a small pond. And after going out there and competing, we really kept entering and making it to the finals competing against B-Rock crew a lot and a lot of other crews, Basic Styles crew. And from there, we kept doing our thing, staying local, traveling out here and there, Seattle for Massive Monkeys, a few of our crew members from 808 Breakers, they moved all around the world, Seattle, New Jersey, so on and so forth, and just traveled. Then I moved out to San Francisco for a little bit. I moved out to San Francisco because I got a gig breaking with another one of my friends named Iceman. He got me the gig, and we were performing in Santa Cruz doing a street show. It was kind of like a generic version of Step Up. It was like a generic version. We did street shows throughout the boardwalk, and then we performed on the stage. It was a cool little gig. It gave me a sense of community because I was able to stay out there for 6 months. 3 months I was in Santa Cruz practicing. The next 3 months I was in San Francisco. And at the time, Ark lived in San Francisco. So I stayed with him, built connections in the Bay, learned a lot a lot from Profile One, Milestone, a lot of the Renegades guys, they put us on as well. And Floor Gangs guys as well, we connected well with them and fell in love with the city. I think to grow up all my life in Hawaii and leave, it was so refreshing to experience, and came back to Hawaii, made the move to San Francisco and live with Jeff for a bit, and I think that was it. That was the next milestone for myself, was moving there and training and being in a different environment and growing to that environment, and it was cheaper to travel out too from San Francisco, to go to Seattle, opposed to Hawaii to Seattle, Hawaii to different places. So
okay, what time frame was this like?
From then, I want to say it was 2014. So so from 2012 freestyle session LA to come back 2-3 years, stay in Hawaii, moved out to San Francisco, stayed out there. It wasn't too long that I decided to move on. From living in San Francisco, we were competing a lot. Style Elements crew, Boston for United Styles. We were just on a roll. And I think what was our main drive was representing Hawaii. There was a few people who've done it, but there wasn't too much people that have taken it that far. And I think that was our drive, was that it hasn't been done like that. And that was our drive, to just keep flying out and letting people know that Hawaii's got soul. Hawaii's got the style, and it's a blessing. This is a side note, but Hawaii receives a lot of things late. For example, music on the radio, styles and trends. We're almost in our own little bubble in Hawaii that things come late.
Okay.
in a sense. So the traditional foundational style, like Ken Swift or like that skill method style, that was really big in Hawaii, and it stayed, which is such a cool thing, you know, and I appreciate it because it forced us to work on our foundation and our holding true to tradition in a sense, you know.
Interesting.
So after San Francisco, moved back to Hawaii, realized there wasn't much kids who were breaking out there. There wasn't much people, like you're saying, who fell off from it. Not too much people were really active, and realized like, damn, you know, if there's no people who are still doing it, we need to focus on the next people and create the next driven people who will pass on the torch. And you know, I worked after school programs. That's what I was doing in San Francisco, is working after school programs, teaching breaking, doing private lessons. Came back to Hawaii, did the same exact thing. Looked for after school programs, taught breaking, worked at a studio, found students who were driven, sent them to the studio from the schools, built with them, and to this day we put them down in 808, you know. So
that's awesome.
So like we got the next, we built it from scratch, you know, and a lot of credit to my lady, Jamie, who's been helping me and believed in me to like do this, you know, because it's hard to see the future and where things are gonna go in the present moment. You never know. And the love and the time spent building with these kids, it's evolved into something that's so community based. And I know you would appreciate it if you came, because it's so like, not only at the competitions that we have are there competitors, but there's families. There's grandma, grandpa, aunties, uncles coming out. They're bringing food for people to eat while at an event. It's such a beautiful community that we have that didn't exist when I moved back to Hawaii in 2016. And then up until now, just on my own, Hawaii's been the base, been flying out to different competitions, representing, coming back, and yeah, stay tuned. These kids they're amazing. They're amazing. I really think it's because it's what we would have wanted if we were in that position, if we had mentors like that, and you know, it's a beautiful thing.
All right, let's go through some footage, brother. So for this first clip here,
oh my gosh, I remember this too. I just got a phone that recorded video.
Okay.
This is 8th grade. Pop in the street. It wasn't really much. This was even before I started breaking. You know, we were kind of just gutsy kids. My friend was like, dude, go in the street, let me record you. And I was like, all right, you know. Kind of just did it. Yeah, before I even started breaking, and just been inspired by Mr. Wiggles, you know, been inspired by Boogaloo Sam. And around that same time too, my brother had put me onto a little site called YouTube. And I remember researching, like, just popping on it, and then just been inspired by the whole movement and applying that to my breaking.
So you're looking back at this footage. At the time, did this Jack know that dance was going to be his career?
No way. Absolutely not. It's so humbling to look back at that and be like, wow. With patience, with diligence and grit and consistency, and if you really love what you do, push it to as far as you want to push it. It's limitless, and it's so humbling, and I'm glad that we went over this, because it's like, wow.
We're gonna go to 2014. This is quarters, Style Wars 2014.
Yikes! Oh snap! My brother Cino. Yeah, man. Just dancing, shoot.
That halo.
Knees, slide drop, dancing, music, footwork. Boom, shoot, boom. All right, okay, damn. I wasn't facing him though. Till this day, I don't even like really know what I was doing. I think I was just so in the moment of this jam that it was just a short little idea of, okay, what do I have to start and what do I have to finish? And everything in between is as honest and as pure in the moment as I have. It looks raw. It doesn't look clean. You know, it's not like textbook clean, but sure, it's honest. And look, watching this clip, I haven't seen this clip probably since the moment that it came out. You know, since then I haven't watched it. It's inspiring to look back. Yeah, dancing. levels. I remember we were talking about applying different steps to levels. I remember the knee drop Halo. I was like, man, I've seen Halo always done from a certain way, so I want to make it come out of a way where you've never seen it before. Another thing too with the elbow, the jump back elbow air chair, maybe I wasn't aware of it back then, but looking towards now, to know your moves so well that it's musical. Certain signatures or bangers, there's a rhythm to it, and I can apply that rhythm to a song. So like, for example, that was a dot 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 moment. In my mind, I have that as a dot dot dot. So now when every time that I break and I feel like a beat is coming up that hits that dot dot dot, it's in the back burner. Sure. It's like, okay, I have that, and it's accessible, and I can use it anytime and any place. So not only just creating moves and movements, but making sure that those things have rhythm to what you do so you can apply it to when it needs to be applied. The music really enhances everything. If you do something simple but it's to the music, it's even bigger than someone who does an air flare bomb.
You really got to have it down cold though.
Have it down. I think back then I didn't even really have it down.
Okay.
Maybe till this day I still don't really have it down, but I have a better idea of where it's going. It's a recipe. Not just rocking like the common beats, right? Like the 2, the 4, the 6, and the 8, but really rocking everything. Like beat surfing, we call it back home. You're rocking everything in between, and I think that's the superpower. Gosh, thank you for sharing that, Frankie. That was a good clip.
2017.
I knew D Menace from the Bay, and he's always been a good guy. And I don't know what it is. Every time I battle D Menace, I like to go off. And I feel like it's a form of, for me at least, I like to look at it as a form of respect for him, because I like to throw my best at him, you know? I would hope that he would throw his best at me too. You know, it's that relationship and it's that push that we have. We're always like going off on each other, and I think that's such a cool thing. And this round, I remember especially too, I worked at the after school program, tired as hell. I remember eating a vegetable curry, a coconut veggie curry, stretching off of the jam and showing up, and there was this energy of the jam. I was ready.
So this is your first round here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Took out the cans. This is the birth of the spray paint concept. Boom. Because it was powwow. Painted my name. Circled my name. I wrote Hijack on the floor. Circled Hijack in like a bubble. Hit him with the boogaloo. Hit 90. Freeze. Shoot. Bang. Shoot. Footwork. Bang. Shoot. Brought it down. Looking for that banger, digging, boom, bang, 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 shoom, bang, boom, boom. Strong finish. Even though it wasn't a freeze, I was always taught to make the end of your round an exclamation mark. Always, don't just get up and walk out. And that's crazy. This was such a crazy round because it was spirit of the moment to do the painting. The whole story behind this is Shadow Styles was a part of powwow. Powwow was an event that happened in Hawaii. It was a week-long festival where artists from around the world would come and paint the warehouse section of Hawaii. So all the warehouses, and until this day, Kaka'ako in Hawaii, it's known as the art district now, because there's so much graffiti around there. So that concept, I'm here looking at graffiti throughout the whole weekend that it's happening. We're showing up, people are doing graffiti throughout the whole night, cranes set up for people and pallets and stuff for people to paint on, and that was the concept. Is I am a part of the environment, and I'm going to emphasize that. Maybe you can't see it in the footage, but at the time, for everybody who showed up to this event, they knew that it was a graffiti festival. Brought out the cans. I used to go and paint a little bit with some of my friends. I was never that good at it, but I always appreciated practicing the elements. Painting, practicing my rhyming, even practicing a little bit of DJing and stuff. So all of the elements of the culture, I really try to practice, and I still try to practice to this day. I still get a little itch to paint a little bit, you know. So the concept of putting the cans in the bag, putting the bag on, jumping over the fence, taking the bag off, zipping the bag out, pulling the can. Got more detailed with knocking the cap off, painting Hijack, writing my name. It looks like I'm scribbling a whole bunch of random, but I'm actually writing my name. I write Hijack and I write 808 Breakers, and I circle it. Like, this is my floor. This is where I'm at. Of course, when you cross someone out, it's like you're burning someone in graffiti, right? So tagging my name, bringing it up, crossing him out,
Throw the can
throwing
away.
the can away. You know, and that whole concept, because it was a graffiti festival, I adapted to my environment, and I am present. So, yeah, that was a good one. Damn, Frankie, you dug deep. That was a good clip. That was the birth of it too.
Fast forward into time here, 2021. This is the national Cypher.
Mike, cool guy, man. Him and the whole Titans. Those guys, good guys. Sheesh. Damn, okay, so that one, I've seen Mike the Titan do some, like, Naruto, you know, I watch anime too. Like, all my students, they always do the Naruto run. Fresh, always. Ugh. I don't even know what I'm doing. I heard the beat. Crowful. Shout out to Crowful. Jump ropes. Get that stamina.
That caught everyone's
Slap.
attention. What were you thinking going into this?
Make a statement, catch a moment. That was the whole intention. Whether I win or not, make a statement and let people know that I'm here. I'm here, and I got it.
And you could see that in your head?
Yeah, I think I was so focused less on winning and more of having a great exchange that actually helped me with the pressure. I deal with a lot of pressure, and I think when I get that pressure, it's because I'm trying to please others. I'm trying to perform for others, but when I eliminate that and I have fun, I realize that I go back to the root of why I do this. And when I go back to that, I do the best that I can do. Because at the end of the day, whether I win or lose, I'm gonna go back and practice for myself anyway. So, having fun, making a statement, catching a moment. And after battling Morris, it's always love for him, but at least back home it was non-stop talk about that moment captured in time, and I realized like that's just what it is. You just gotta catch a good moment with someone, and whether you win or lose, like that moment will continuously live on. When you're clear about what you want, and when you're clear about what you want to do with it, there's no stopping you. For those young ones out there tuning in, be clear.
We're gonna go to Fullforce.
Oh snap.
The 2v2.
Sheesh. This one was a good one too. This one actually, funny story behind it. We brought 10 kids. We fundraised for 2 to 3 years. Fundraised selling t-shirts, hats, baking brownies, homemade baking brownies, making things like pickled mango. In Hawaii, it's green mango, vinegar, sugar, lihing, it's like a dried plum. We would sell that, and we would do street shows, and we get donations from a lot of support and love from friends and family. And we raised enough money to pay for 10 kids, covered their hotel or their Airbnb, covered the 16-passenger van that we rented, covered all their food, covered their entrance fee, covered tickets to the Jabberwockies, covered so much. And we arrived this day early in the morning. We had a late night the night prior, flew out red eye, arrived that morning, went to Costco, got everything. So we're tired as hell, and we go to the jam. And this was actually the Fullforce Skillz Talk and Fullforce collaborated to doing a kids event, and we really wanted our kids to compete, and they ended up winning.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what, whether we made it to the finals, but we lost. The win was seeing the kids win, and I think that topped it off. That was the Skill Brat Renegades moment for them. I just had to say that because we were like crazy tired. Every round we were thinking like, damn, we're gonna lose. Let's just get through this. Yeah, definitely like tired. Freestyling, I'm like, what the hell? Nice moments of pausing. Ooh. And I think maybe when you listen, I almost feel like when you listen to music so often, you kind of just feel like something's gonna happen.
Sure.
I was focused on the instruments, and I was focused on taking my time. That was one of the key approaches for this event and the Skillz Talk event was take your time, enjoy, and just rock.
The last clip we'll show here.
Oh, sheesh.
Skillz Talk in Las Vegas.
Sunny, shout out to Sunny too. We went out to an Olympic training camp that was hosted by Silverback and Redbull, and got to get educated by Wicked, Bonita, and Flowmaster on just like training and improvement of health and performance. And Sunny was there, and she's mad cool, so it was cool to like exchange with her as well.
Right.
I like to think of it as when you battle, it's a conversation, and I'm at a stage now, maybe it's maturity, but I don't need to cocky. I don't need to be so aggressive towards you unless I feel that energy back. But I feel like the proof is in your movement. You ever heard that saying, James Brown say, it's like talking loud ain't saying nothing. A lot of times if you're loud, from what I've gotten from that is when you're loud, but in reality, in the context and complex of what you're doing, you're not really saying much, but you're loud, opposed to not being loud. And like I think of Rock's, right, for example, and I think of how he doesn't need to get all in your face, but he says exactly what he needs to say. And I think I'm attracted more towards that style because I feel like I don't need to be cocky. I feel like I don't need to be loud. And I'm learning how to control and master myself, and my emotions. I know it is a tactic for people. I know the floor, for a fact, the floor was slippery as hell. I not normally get sweaty palms, and the floor really is a big thing for me. But so in this clip, I remember Hawaii, and I remembered, I was like, what story do I want to tell?
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, the story of a kid from Hawaii, and the journey of the search of an island, finding the island, digging through the jungles, searching for the land, place to set up, planting, seeds represented being planted from the new sponsorship from Redbull. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna be here. And the fruits of labor. I saw this guy's water bottle before he even grabbed it, and I was like, I gotta grab it. If he didn't grab it, I would have grabbed the water bottle. Watered it. It bloomed. Because after all this time of hard work, those seeds have finally bloomed. That's me. And then of course had to kind of just rock. Hat fell off. I don't normally break with hats because they come off, and it's like, okay, oh shit, there it is. Grab it, put it back on, keep on with the flow. That was such a spontaneous moment too. It was like, personally for me, if I see a hat fall off, I'm like more focused on the hat,
Yeah.
Or like if I'm a judge, I see it, I'm like, okay,
It's a
other
distraction.
points are marked off. And the way that my hat was laid down too was just perfect, because once I got out of it, it was perfect way to put on a hat. It just set up so nice, and the hat shall come back onto the head.
Are there things in your personal lifestyle outside of breaking, or your values, your background, your perspectives? How do those things influence what you actually put into your breaking?
I know I come from a place where it's very relaxing and it's very peaceful. Before a jam or before flying out, I try to go to the beach and I try to just sit and soak in the salt water, or I try to go for a hike and I really try to calm my mind. And I would read, and there was a quote that I remember, it's a Chinese proverb, and that quote is, tension is what you think you should be, and relaxation is what you are. And every time that I've entered a battle where I feel like I'm gonna throw up, or I feel like I'm just shaking, I just breathe. And I remember why I do this. And it's to have fun. It's because it brings me joy. And when I dance, I actually dance to escape all the stress and tension. So it doesn't make sense for me to bring that into the battle. And I found personally for myself that when I'm relaxed, I execute better. And when I'm free, I have fun. My good friend Ark always tells me, do no wrong. You know, do no wrong and just have fun. Because before you know it, you're going to be 50, 60, and you're not going to be able to do what you do, you know, maybe go for these crazy moves. To relax my mind, to breathe, to enjoy nature, to do something other like elsewhere too. You know, like for example, like I take the quote when I'm pouring latte out, when I'm nervous as hell, when I'm shaking. And I just breathe and I relax and I do exactly what was going to be done anyway.
Did battles, you know, ever eat away at you earlier on in your career, maybe?
Of course, and it still does. But now I have a little bit more of a better idea of the mental tools that I need to relieve that, right? I would say up until Shadow Styles 2017, I think I was more towards just you know, go all in and attack, and that works. It works for some people, and maybe it'll work. Like, it's always adapting, just like life. When I'm always in that approach, it'll work for me maybe that jam, but maybe for the next jam it won't work for me. You know, that driver mentality, and this one so far has proven to be timeless. Relaxation, breathing, calm, and it's just been working for me. So up until then, whether I win or not, I still perform better, and I think that's more important. When I focus on performing better, that becomes a win. My lady and I, we just started our own business. It's a mobile coffee cart known as Drip Cafe. You can follow us on Instagram at dripcafe.hi. Translating what we do in dancing, right? Like, for example, I believe that your style is just an extension of your true self anyway. So if you're, and it's, what as Bruce Lee says, you're honestly expressing yourself, right? So if you're honest and you're clear about what it is that you're expressing, then translating that into other avenues of life helps you to be even more unique, right? Because hip-hop culture was about being unique, being free, right? Finding freedom through oppression. And I can't really say too much about that because I was never in press stage. But what I've learned from that was being unique stands out. Not being a part of the grain, but going against the grain, and learning how to turn hip-hop and and style and fashion and how I dress and how I talk and what I'm interested into coffee, into other different avenues. I just think it's important for people to, if you break, find other things to do also and translate what it is that you do. Like, I know I was talking to Victor and he was getting into MMA and fighting and boxing and stuff, and I appreciate that because it's like, yes, it's important to pursue something 100% with grit, but it's also important to step aside and let your brain expand on other avenues, because when that comes together, it only enhances, right? I like to think of breaking as it is a freestyle dance. KRS-One once said, hip is the new, right? The current, and hop is the movement. Life is way too short to just lock in just on one thing. I might even come up with a latte art, top rock style, you know, or like a concept behind that. And maybe the thing is, it's not for everybody to understand. Maybe it's only for those who know to understand. So maybe all the b-boys who are baristas or b-girls who are baristas will recognize what it is that I'm doing, you know, or DJs or graph painters, people who have experienced that. It resonates with them because they have an experience with it. And once again, it's not about getting everybody to like what you do. It's about getting those who like the same thing that you like to appreciate it even more. I definitely think that with the Olympics having a role now, I think I will focus on that.
Okay.
I do enjoy the small local jams where it's not a 10-hour schedule, where you can bring your food into the venue, you know, and you're not paying $20 bottled water from Costco and stuff. I like small jams. I like intimate jams where I can build and connect. I like jams just as, you know, a little bit more than I like competitions. And I think of competitions as those 10-hour events where you show up, but the experience. And for me, I think of breaking being in the Olympics. It's dope. It's an option. And I might be going more towards that, you know, like Hawaii has Hawaii has one in surfing. Hawaii has a representative in skating. And it would be amazing if we had Hawaii as a representative in breaking. So I see myself definitely repping there, but also remaining true to the culture, staying local, building with my community as well as other small communities. So Hijack is definitely going to be running a cafe where there are going to be jams there, and just making breaking look cool again, and making it look like it's fun, and that you don't need to have all the power moves, and that you can rock beats and make that your power move. I do just want to give a shout out to you, your drive towards allowing b-boys like myself or b-girls to play a role in talking about their own experiences, because as much as we love seeing b-boys online, it's a whole other story to get to know who they are, and I think that's a very important thing in the direction of this. So big kudos to you.
I appreciate
Shout
it.
out to you for setting this up.
Good luck with everything moving forward. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks again.
Peace.
Chee-hoo!